you very much today to our Getting Back to Business, the Customer Experience Post-COVID-19 webinar. So this webinar today is jointly run by North Yorkshire County Council, Make It York and the North Yorkshire Growth Hub. We've got award-winning marketer Paul Whiting, and we've got Ian Sadler from Insight 6, who are going to be taking us on a 45-minute journey to discuss how businesses can use digital tools such as website, email, social media to really demonstrate what customers can expect before they actually get through the doors and also once they're through the doors. So Ian's going to be discussing how to maximise the physical experience to create happy customers and maintaining safety and overcoming any fears that people might have, quite legitimately during this time of COVID-19. So they're going to guide you through what you need to think about as a business and provide some practical advice on how you can move forward, and any other questions that you might have we can answer at the end. There's a bio on both Paul and Ian, which was on the Eventbrite link. So if you need any more information on that, I'll provide you with their contact details. Just some housekeeping for today. All the participants will remain muted. If you wish to ask a question, can you please use the Q&A box, which is at the bottom of the screen at any stage. And what we'll do at the end, we'll have a 10 to 15 minute Q&A session, and I'll read the questions out and then we can answer any queries you've got. Just also housekeeping, the meeting's being recorded for future viewing. Thank you very much, and I'd really much like to introduce our first speaker, which will be Paul Whiting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let me just get my presentation up. Okay. So yeah, I've been invited today to talk about how you can engage your way out of the lockdown. Obviously, it's been 3 long months, and it's about now getting back in touch with the customer and telling them what's happening. That's the important thing. So just a little about me. So as was mentioned, I spent over a decade working in tourism, leisure and hospitality, and I really focus on what I call holistic marketing campaigns, which is using what people call traditional and digital campaigns and blending them together for commercial success and benefits the consumer. That's the important thing always in marketing. What's the benefit to your consumer engaging with your product? So that's a little about me, and there's my Twitter if you want to live tweet throughout or ask me any questions. So work I'm really proud of that's similar to what we're dealing with at the moment is I was part of the team that reimagined York Viking Centre when it flooded in December of 2015. We took a 16-month programme from the left side of the screen to the right, from an attraction that was devastated by flooding to something completely different, and that was through engaging with the consumer throughout that 16-month period to keep the brand alive. So similar to today, obviously very different, but a lot of the things that we did there will help us in the future, what we're talking about today. So how do you engage your way out of lockdown? Bold statement to start with. Don't expect your audience to still be there. What do I mean by that? People have had time to reevaluate all the relationships in their lives. We've all done it. There's family members that cheat on quizzes and all those sorts of things. And that also means brands. People have had time to look at their social media, look at their inboxes and think, do I still want to engage with that brand? Does it still mean something to me? And that's what we need to get over at the moment. This isn't a bad thing, because it might have been that there were some people that had engaged with you a long time ago, wasn't engaging anymore. So actually losing them isn't actually a loss. It's about focusing your audience. So there's less waste when you're actually engaging and marketing to them. Also, the question is, have you been able to engage with your audience during lockdown? A lot of furloughings happened, rightly so, especially in tourism and hospitality. So can you engage with that audience? And can you win them back? That's the biggest question. Can you win back that audience that you have been silent for legitimate reasons? Yeah, of course you can. That's what we're going to talk about today. People are really confused about what's happening at the moment still, what the new rules are, which shops can open, which places are open, do I have to wear gloves, do I have to wear a mask to go in? There's so much going around people's heads. But you can use that as an opportunity. This is your opportunity to get out in front with the information. You've done the work about understanding, and Ian will go into obviously a bit more detail about the physical space and how you've made that safe and welcoming. But this is your opportunity to talk to the audience as quickly as possible, to tell them what your plans are. Absolutely important. And tell them your story, what you've done. It's not just government advice, it's your story. What have you done to welcome people back, and what changes have you made? And be honest about the hygiene standards. This isn't a bad thing that you're putting extra work into health and safety, but don't be clinical. It's not about being clinical, it's about being honest about what you're doing to make the space safe in the current conditions. The objective here is always to educate and allay fears, not to add to those fears, okay? And how do you get this across? Always through content. Marketing, one of my big things is marketing is about content, images, words. They're really important to get the message across, as we can obviously all know, but this is what I would say to get it across. Writing clear, concise language. You don't need to go into great detail about things and over promote something. Audiences want something quick and easy to understand, so make it clear and concise. Stay away from acronyms. Stay away from, PPE, say face coverings or face masks or whatever you're doing, or visors. Don't just say PPE. It's a scary word. It's a word you hear on the news. That's not a word that we need to use when we're talking to consumers. And don't use clinical language. It's not about going to a hospital environment. It's about going to your business that's had health and safety. Create FAQ, so frequently asked questions pages that can deal with all possible questions. The reason why this is important is because actually, one, it'll allow you to understand what your customer's thinking. That's really important. So when you write those questions, you can think, well, what's the consumer going to ask? And it also means that their questions are already on the screen. So you've already answered that question. Okay. And remember, and this is really important, no matter what you write and how much information, there's always going to be more questions. And that's a good thing, because again, that's engagement. So just be ready to give that information willingly through, contact forms, email, telephone, however you can manage it, but always make sure that there's a link to more information or how to get in touch. And where do you put all this information? The website is going to be more powerful and more useful than ever, because that's where people are going to get the majority of information from your business at this point, especially before you open. So if you're opening from the 4th of July, this is the time to make sure your website's up to date. Pages like the opening hours or the visit pages, they're the important place to put information around COVID-19. So anywhere or about us, anything that is the first point of call for the consumer, make sure that information's there. You want to make it as easy as possible for your consumer to find that information. Also, make sure that it's across your site. It might seem counterproductive to make a big splash about, COVID-19 or new health and safety measures. The consumer wants that information. They want to know what's going on. So be bold about it. Have it across the website so that people, if they land anywhere on the page, when they've been searching or they go back to a page they know, they find that information that can go back to those special pages. It's not about hiding this information. It's about being out there front and center with it. And again, contact information as bold as possible. People will want questions, want to ask questions, and it's making sure you can handle that capacity as well. And this one's really, this got me thinking when I first wrote a piece about this. A lot of, especially in marketing, always want busy pictures with lots of people in to show how popular what we do is. Think about it now. This is a different world. Consumers don't want busy. They don't want bustling. They want something that is safe. They want somewhere that has people, but in a different way, less crowded. So think about that in your imagery. If you just focus on product images for the time being, that's absolutely fine. And also showcase images of what you're doing. So what steps have you put in place? Showcase them on your website. There's nothing wrong with that, because people will feel comfortable that they've seen that information. Now, obviously, there was just a poll that came through. A lot of you are in leisure and hospitality, so hopefully opening this weekend. There are some specific things for leisure and hospitality, which obviously is my background as well, especially around data. A lot of the, especially pubs and restaurants, it's about collecting data for the, in case it's ever needed for track and trace. And the thing that I would really push, and I talk about this a lot, and I talked about it a lot in the attractions world, use pre-booking. use pre-booking because it allows you to manage your customer flow. So for you, welcoming visitors back after a long time, and in a world where it's less capacity, using pre-booking can allow you to control the numbers without queues outside, without having to think about the more social distancing measures outside the building. You'll have that in place, but it will give you a bit more peace of mind. And it gives the consumer confidence that they can come in at a time that suits them. You know, this could even work for showrooms and other retail as well, because it might be that those consumers are more engaged and potentially spend more because they're coming to shop, they're coming to go to this place and they want to engage. So it's not about the volume game. This is about controlling the numbers, but actually giving a better experience. And importantly, you can collect the contact information that you need to quickly and easily without pens and paper and the staff having to get involved. You've got it. Obviously, it must be GDPR compliant, and it's not a marketing database, but it is a database that if you are required to give that information over, it's there. And the consumer knows about it in advance as well. And this can be promoted across your website, again, as another incentive to visit. So we talked about what we need to do, how we're going to get the message out there. Now, for me, digital channels, like we just said, are key. This is how you're going to get that information out there. Social media, cheap and effective, engage with your audience straight away, and you get some great reach. You know, sharing that information across with loads of different people is a really good way of doing it. And don't forget PR. Really don't. Local journalists in York, North Yorkshire, beyond, they're looking for these celebratory stories. They want to celebrate business successes after 3 long months, especially if there's a personal angle. You know, if it's a small business and you own it and you've done all this work, talk about it, showcase it. And it's just a press release and some images, and that really starts telling the story in a different way, and it's a different kind of media. And what I would really focus on as well is email marketing. And I'll tell you why. A number, always like to put a number in, over 2%. The click-through rate for email campaigns, that's across the UK, is about 2%. And 2% might not seem high as a click-through, but think about your social media. Think about the thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that you reach with your social media. You're lucky, and this is even the big boys, you're lucky to get about a 1% click-through on social media content. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but 2%, that's double anyway, and that's more likely to convert. It's a more effective conversion rate, and actually you can build a deeper relationship. If that consumer wants to keep receiving emails from you, that inboxes are really important, as we all know, full of many different things, work or personal. Having that email and opening it and engaging with it is a massive deal. So actually develop that relationship. And you can showcase more information. Social media is great, and I'm a big advocate for Twitter and obviously Facebook and Instagram for the consumer. But in email, you can tell a lot more stories, link them to a lot of different places, and again, deepen that relationship. And concentrate on building your database. Again, GDPR compliable, please, but you can concentrate on keeping the consumer engaged. So Ian's going to talk about more what the real world, as I'm calling it, and the consumer space. But for me, they go hand in hand, the promotion and the customer service. Don't panic, obviously, for a start, because you've done the hard work. You've put the measures in place for this new normal. And I know people don't like that phrase, but I think it's probably the most apt for what we're dealing with at the moment. And you can make sure that those messages are transferred from the online space into the physical space. That's the important thing to do. Just think about the artwork and language. You've done that hard work online, and you've used consistent language online and consistent artwork. Bring that into the physical space so that it's consistency. Consistency across marketing is always important, because if they see it in one place and see it in the other, it sparks a reminder, and then it embeds itself into their psyche, and then they remember you. So how you look and feel across all your channels is always really important. And if you're using graphics for social distancing on posters or the kind of the footmarks that people are doing, make sure that's replicated online. There's no point doing this work twice. And these are really simple things, but just these are little things that can always catch you out. And wherever possible, with your signage, make sure it pushes people back online for more information for the FAQs, because then you don't have to do unnecessary signage all the time. Think about, there's certain things you can and can't, you can't get across in a physical space that you can online. And people are so used to using their phones, even more so now, and using the internet because of lockdown. So think about that, make sure it's carried across, because you've got a real consistency across the channels then. And the last bit I'd like to look at, so we've looked at launching, we've looked at the physical space. What do we do afterwards? Because once you launch, that's great, you reopened, you're taking money, really important. But what do you do after that? And that's what really interests me as well for brands coming out of lockdown into the future. Think past reopening and engagement, because it is going to be a difficult time. It's really great places are reopening, but how can you keep that relationship going? Keeping hold of customers at the moment is more important than getting new customers. You want to keep the customers you've got and get them to spend more, being perfectly honest. So how do you do that in this world? Have you got an e-commerce platform? Is there things you can sell on top of ticketing and a physical environment? Is there other things, tertiary things they can purchase online afterwards that they can enjoy at home? A lot of restaurants, especially in York, have been doing takeaway services or delivery services, restaurants, themselves. So is there a way you can do that is still profitable? Obviously. Can you consult your consumers on what they want as well? What products and services? Ask for their ideas. People want to give ideas. They really want to be asked their opinion on things. Trust me, look at social media. People want to give their opinions. Let them do it. Let them do it. Also, look at crowdfunding. It depends on what you're looking to do, but make your consumer a more integral part of your business, because actually the more engaged they are, the more they're willing to work with you. The options are limitless, but you need to engage consistently. So my top tips for continued engagement from this point throughout the future: invest time in producing a content calendar for your brand, which charts the main messages you want to share at specific times and across different channels, which is really important to think about. What are you talking about at different times of the year, different times of the week? And don't forget your email. Never forget your email. Really important. Promote your sign-up options, obviously, for email across your channels, and work really hard on developing a recruitment and retention strategy for those consumers. Using all the other marketing channels, absolutely, but think about your email, because it's a more cost-effective way than a lot of Facebook advertising. Or advertising is great, but think about how you can engage with that consumer you've already got. And all that creates a well-engaged and active advocacy group, because people who love brands talk about them a lot. And you want to be that brand. There's brands that we all know that we love more than we should. I have some, definitely. A well-known multinational clothing brand that's online, ASOS. Big fan of it. Always big it up. So you want to be that brand for other people. So that's me. Obviously, I'll be hanging around for questions later, but you can get in touch with me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'm working on my website at the moment. When this presentation is shared as well, there's some useful links here from the government, and obviously the Visit Britain Good to Go trust mark for those businesses in the hospitality space is well worth looking into. Yeah, I'll just leave you with that again, because again, people who love brands talk about them, and you want to be talked about, because that's half your marketing done. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
In which I'll put to you at the end. But I would like to pass over to Ian now. So Ian Sadler from Insight 6 will be giving us his advice on reopening and getting your customers back into the physical building. So I'll pass you on to Ian. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Paul. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, first of all, don't be scared if you're seeing me in Big Vision. I'm not sharing a presentation with you today. I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you because what it's going to be when you reopen is going to be a very human experience. You're not going to be showing them a PowerPoint presentation. So I thought I would share with you some hints and tips of what we've seen at Insight 6 over the last sort of 3 months or so now. So to give you a real quick brief of who I am, yeah, I work for Insight 6, and we typically work with business owners and managers who simply get frustrated as the team are not always delivering to the standards set. They're concerned as they need to retain and gain more customers, and or anxious as they need to sell more services. Imagine that, you can sell some of your products and services now. I personally love working with local businesses, and it's a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak today. So over the next 15 minutes, I'm just going to try and offer to you some advice on customers. Basically customers are coming back, they're going to be walking into your business, walking into your shop. They're going to be arriving at a venue for a night or two away. They are going to be looking for some good Yorkshire hospitality, which means a great piece of cake, a decent cup of coffee, or something stronger. So let's be really realistic here and basic. This is what you are giving back to people who are coming back to your business. The common challenges I'm seeing for business owners and customers and employees are the fact that they are returning back to the business feeling safe. I know Paul mentioned it in his presentation there. Things we are seeing that people have to use toilets. That's scary. Making sure that whatever your customer experience is, though, what I'm trying to get across here is we want to make sure that you're unwrapping it really of the policy and procedures which exist, but you do have something. But we know those things need to be put in place to try and unwrap those policies and procedures a little, just a little, to deliver a great experience. Okay. So what I mean, and to provide advice today, is put yourself in your customer's shoes. You've all been out there, you've all been out and about, I would assume, been into other places, other venues which are open. So when looking at your business, both now and always in the future, just put yourself in your customer's shoes. Always, always do that. Take you back, to tell you a tale, to take you back. Just remember, do you remember the first time you went out to visit your local store or supermarket at the start of this pandemic at the end of March? Just think about that. For me, this is a surreal experience, and I got a stronger feeling that this virus is a whole lot more serious than I probably thought about it at the time. But I don't want to go on negatives here. Okay, so we are now entering July. July is coming, and there's a lot of positives to be happen because more and more businesses are about to open. But bear in mind that people's feelings remain very different with this new normal. They're very different. Okay, some of your future customers or these returning customers, some are still remaining fearful of what is happening. Just to be out, we will be happy just to be out and about, whilst others are potentially just getting on with it. Okay, some might not have no fear, they're just getting on with it. Our job, as I see it, in hospitality, retail, tourism businesses, anything that's started, is about making sure we deliver customer expectations which are in line with your own vision. So just think about that. What is your vision? And just make sure you're aligning those customer expectations correctly. So when I speak about customer experience, for me, there are 3 dimensions to it, to go into each one. So easy is the first one. So as customers, we expect all businesses to be easy to deal with, whether it be answering your phone, replying to your emails, speaking to you face to face. These things are an absolute given. Every single one of us when dealing with somebody else, and it is expected that these things are always going to be right. It's a given. Okay, but if these things weren't working at the start of this year, then this is a great time to get it right now. Okay, it's a great time to plan and prepare to get it right now. The second dimension is about businesses being functional. So we all provide services and products which customers wanted before the pandemic, and I feel I can say it with confidence now that they still want it. They still want to get out there. They still want you. Okay, the problem we've all encountered is everyone has been on a holiday to a place called lockdown. Okay, so if you were a business who could deliver above and beyond customer expectations back in January, February, March, have confidence is what I want to get across today. Have confidence in what you offer, and we'll go through how you can improve it and how you can engage your team. The first 2 dimensions of customer experience are an absolute given, okay, and are expected by everybody, okay. But when I speak about customer experience, the third and most important dimension of it is it's about how you make people feel. It's about how you make people feel in your business, okay. It's going to be hard with these signs up, keeping people apart, but how are you going to make your customers feel when they come into your business? So ask yourself that, whether you're answering a call, dealing with an email, looking at how your website speaking to them face to face. So as we go through this, as I keep talking, just think about how can you make people feel special, because they are back in your business and using you. And I don't mean just that first encounter or that last encounter. I mean every single touch point and encounter they will have within your business, whether it be technical or whether it be human. More now than ever, this is an absolutely fantastic time, as I see it, for us as businesses to welcome customers back and guests back into a business. So it's a great time to build those customer relationships, which will be remembered for a very, very long time. If, like I, financially you've been, budgets are tight and you may not have the funding to deliver, these marvelous customer experiences, which include like your Disneys and the Ritz-Carltons of the world. But there are so many basics which I see day in and day out, which if we weren't getting it right at the start of the year, this is an unbelievable opportunity to sit down with your team and make sure you're doing it right now. We all hope we never go back through a lockdown again when businesses need to put up the close sign. But what I am seeing from businesses who have been doing it well is they have taken on the opportunity which exists to make people feel special. To tell a story, I would ask you to relate this to your own business and think how you are going to educate your team and manage these types of situations. So just think about these in your business. So one host, okay? A welcome host at the door of your business. Have you considered it? Do you have the option to do it? Do you have the manpower to do it, should I say? I would say a welcome host is a great idea where possible, if you can do it. But you need, when you think about that position, you need the right person with the right attitude and the personality to do it. Think of one business who does it fantastically well. They've been welcoming back customers into the business whilst they queue. People are going to queue. Clearly, you can only have so many people in your businesses. It was a great start of like setting expectations, actually build what that person might be doing for the rest of the day, showing a real sort of human and interest in that person, into that person who's going to be dealing with you. On a flip side, I can think of one who are doing this very badly. And the reason they're doing it very badly is because there are none of those common pleasantries of hello, great to see you today, how are you? What this business is doing is a very harsh 2-minute health and safety message in a very unwelcoming manner. When I saw this myself, I could imagine all the boxes it was ticking in the back office, but it wasn't saying we love our customers or welcome back customers. I just take you back again to put yourself in your customer's shoes. What are you going to deliver? What processes are in place where you are actually thinking? To continue with one further story. You might have been here yourself. As a family, myself, we had a second trip out. We had a second trip out for the first time in 3 months. It was great to get some fresh air and some exercise last week. And the wife was super keen to have actually a freshly made cup of coffee. It's dreamy that you can have a freshly made cup of coffee. So we visited a lovely local town. We found that independent retailer, of course, who was physically, everything in his store was set up perfectly for the pandemic. Separate entrance and exit doors. There were all that signage, what was relevant. I read, my wife didn't read, and that protective screen was there at the ordering point. Brilliant. Okay, all looks good. Good. He had a smile. The order was taken politely, but as we stood and waited, no other customers were in the store. The wife said she was really looking forward to a coffee, and it would be her first proper one for 3 months. The excitement was immense. But what went wrong within the business was the team member didn't engage in discussion, say something about the fact it was great for the business we had chose them. They could have said anything like, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. They could have asked where we travelled from today, or just something to engage us as customers. They might have even tried to upsell me a piece of cake, but they just didn't do it. They just didn't do it. For me, a real opportunity was missed to say, hello, customer, we've been shut a while. Things are looking great for us today. Just think about those real common human touches which often disappear. If I take you back to the 3 dimensions of customer experience, the business did the first 2 steps perfectly well, but they made no emotional connection. And that is the absolute key part of great customer experience, emotional connections. So do think about that. Think about those opportunities and think about how you can deliver and wrap your customer experience with love, and not get too wrapped up with these policies and procedures. Every day we all learn something new, but what frustrates me is a lot of what I'm saying today is very simple, but what we don't do is embed behaviours in people that customers, we love, whether we love them or hate them, we do need them. And it's about showing that we empathy to what these people themselves have suffered in the last few months. I could talk to you about great customer service till I'm blue in the face. The eye contact, good posture, friendly smiles, all that is there. But for us today, the session is about how can businesses best accommodate their customers and welcome them back safely. So what can you do for the next few days? Okay, put yourself in your customer's shoes. This is that new normal, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, that phrase. I would encourage you to get your team members and yourself walking your customer journey, casting a critical eye over that first visual you see outside your business, and that first and every step a customer will make around your building. However, I've seen this from businesses who have opened already. A word of warning: I can guarantee you that in everything they do, it's possible that they will do something different to what you would think is their natural flow. So do think about that. As humans, we are a strange bunch. So be wary of that. But bear in mind that communication and doing it in a friendly way is really crucial in getting that experience right when they return into your business. So be really, really patient and very patient with customers, because it is all new to them. If it's new to you, it's definitely new to them on how your business will look. Paul has kindly mentioned signage. Okay, I would encourage the signage definitely on your websites. You need to be there. You need to make people aware of what to expect when they come into your business. But as I said earlier, okay, so if you can get your staff to talk about it, even better. But even better if they can actually just be more welcoming and say, welcome home, welcome back to our business. Okay. When I have an opportunity to speak, I always aim to provide some hints and tips for you to take away. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I want to try and give you some information now. So if you have a pen and paper, this might be the time to start writing some things down. One thing, ensure and check that your team feels safe. Okay, they've been away. Some have worked long hours if they haven't been away, and most have been away. I've spoken a lot about the paying customer today, but what your most important customer is the person you employ. You need to make sure they are comfortable with the environment. If they're not, it is a nailed on certain, which will mean you've done lots of great marketing work, as provided by Paul, but now you've got those people in your business, you need to make sure they always want to come back. Okay, and if you haven't thought about your suppliers, they're another customer. Talk to your customers. Have they suffered? It's all part of the experience of what you need to deliver. Second point, mentioned it already, ensure that your team and yourself have walked the customer journey. Engage them in what you are doing now to get it right. Customers, as I said, don't need signs, okay? But you do need signs, okay? But just get your staff talking to them to make sure it's really clear what is expected of them, where you can. PPE is a word we're not going to use, but it is a barrier, okay? If people are wearing visors, wearing masks, it will clearly affect the communication skill. So what I would say about that is be prepared and train your staff and coach your staff to really slow down in what they're doing. Listen more and be really, really patient with your customers, because there will be a hindrance with the PPE and those shields on. And remember, whatever practices you have put in place is all new to your customers, so we need to help them understand what you're doing. And to sort of get near the end, the one thing I haven't mentioned, which I just can't believe I'm leaving this till last, is in customer experience, the key part of this is measurement. Okay, most of you as businesses are used to, or used to leaving reviews, whether it be TripAdvisor, Google, Facebook, or many other review systems are out there. You can't improve what you don't know. Therefore, I'd encourage you to have a look at feedback process. Look at feedback processes, so you can understand what customers feel and also look and ask them what you can improve. At Insight 6, I can clearly help you, but you know, there's clearly a cost in that. But the simple thing is just get your staff to ask your customer, how did they feel today, and what it is you can improve. Okay. And to give you one final thought before we go into the Q&A. If you think you would like to meet and they appeared in your business today or the 4th of July, what level of service would you want to provide to them? Just think about that. Whatever that answer is, this is what you need to deliver, each and every day to each customer you see. So I hope that was helpful, and we will go back to the Q&A with Sarah. Thank you.
Everyone, thanks, Ian. Thank you very much for that. Gives us a lot of food for thought, I think. There's been some really interesting questions, so I'm just going to go through those. Someone was asking, I think it was when Paul was talking, you were talking about the pre-booking system, and they were asking if you had any ones that you would recommend for customers to pre-book.
There's a lot. It depends on the business, I guess. There are free to use tools. So Eventbrite, to be honest, is free to use if you're not charging, if they're not purchasing a ticket. So if they're actually not purchasing their booking, then Eventbrite is free. If you are putting a holding fee or something, which again I would recommend doing, there's only a small amount to start with. I think they just charge a small commission plus the credit card fee. There's numerous businesses out there that you could talk to, DigiTickets or a few others. I mean, if there's something specific, I'm happy to have a conversation about that afterwards. But there's lots of ticketing out there. It's just what's best for your business at this point.
All right, great. Thanks, Paul. Another question is someone saying, thanks for the great content. Nice to see you both. What advice would you both have for a brand new business opening? It's a gallery that doesn't have an existing customer database.
Social media, first and foremost, and PR. I think PR is a great one. Get talking to the local newspaper. We might not be buying newspapers, but people are definitely using the websites. You know, I'm sure we're looking at, you know, York Press, Yorkshire Post, other titles are available, obviously, that are worth engaging with now, plus getting out there on social media, there's lots of networking still on social media, so get out there. If you have some spend, be careful with it, use it on social media advertising, but you don't have to. A lot of word of mouth can help with this, so think about what's a USP, what are you telling people about, use that, and then use that as an impetus to sign up for an email database as well, build that customer base.
Yeah, more people are, you know, we know last 3 months, more people are at home. It's blatantly obvious that more people are using social media than ever before. It's what we have to use. You know, we can't go out. It's what we've had to use. So yeah, the only thing I would add to that question is, yeah, you know, if your marketing hasn't picked up the information, make sure you pick up the information when they walk into your shop, whether they bought or not bought. Just talk to them. Please just communicate and talk to them.
Great, thanks for your comments. And that leads on to the next question, which was there any support through the Growth Hub to help them with their social media? So hopefully I can answer that. I've put some links through the Q&A to the Growth Hub itself. There is a series of social media webinars which are free to attend, so feel free to register on those, and that's going to take you through things like how to best use your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And there may be some support through Digital Advantage programme, so feel free to contact us. Okay, one more question. You mentioned local journalists wanting a small business success story to write home about. Is there a risk that said businesses could come off as a little show-offish?
Can I answer that one, Paul, first?
Yeah, you can, because I've got two answers.
I think Paul's going to have the better answer than I would say. Just show off. Yeah, if you're great, you're a great business. Just do it, Paul.
That's basically my answer. Yeah, who cares? Who cares? The whole point of promotion and marketing is to show off. That's it. So be proud of what you're doing. There's a reason you're talking about it. You don't hide your light under a bushel. If you want to tell people something, that's what it's about. It's not about saying, oh, we've survived the storm. No, it's saying this is what we've done to carry on doing what we do so brilliantly. That's it. So yeah, show off.
Drive more traffic, drive more customers.
Absolutely.
Good response. One more question is asking a bit more about the physicality of the 1 metre plus regulation. What does that actually mean in practice?
Oh, hello.
Hello.
We're back to are we not back to Parliament briefings with that question? I'm not sure if we're entitled to answer that one. I don't know. It's arm's length, isn't it? You need to. I think the fear is from the businesses I'm dealing with, is people aren't very good at social distancing. Probably adults more than most. You could argue that 20% of the population at the moment are over this, aren't they? Pandemic is over. I don't know. As a business, you need to manage that. You need to manage it. You need to have a quiet. You need to speak. You need to talk to them.
Yeah. Right, and there's another kind of related question here. Someone's saying, I've heard hairdressers have been told to avoid social chit chat, so people, I suppose, aren't breathing over each other as much. Does that apply to other businesses too?
I think the one thing to do is definitely look at the advice, the government advice that's out there. There is, I know it doesn't feel like there's everything, but there's a huge amount, and I think it's about the amount of time that's spent. So like Ian was saying about talking to your customer, that's not a bad thing, especially social distanced or however you're doing it, and it's not a sustained amount of time. I think that the worry is more than, I mean, don't quote me obviously, but more than 15 minutes is when it becomes a bit more of an issue. And obviously getting your hair cut, as you can see, mine is desperate in need of a cut. For anyone that knows me from before the lockdown, this is going to be an hour's job, but it'll just have to be done in silence. But I'd want my hair cut, and I know that the experience is going to change, and my hairdresser's already told me about that, so I'm ready for that. It's about engaging with your customer in the right way beforehand as well. And if they know it's going to be a quiet, situation, that's the way it is. So just take the advice on and see how it progresses. Yeah,
my understanding is, definitely use the public health website. That's definitely the best place for that sort of information. My basic understanding of hairdressers, from probably a woman's hairdresser's point of view, is they've all been told they're all paying a little bit more. They're all being given masks. The staff are wearing masks. As far as I'm concerned, with no health qualification at all. I'm not aware that you can't talk when you've got a mask on. I'm sure you can.
All right, thank you. There's one more question here. How can they encourage people to leave reviews of their business?
Interesting.
How would you best do this?
Many ways. I probably could talk. If you're gathering data, okay, so you've got so for the businesses, I'm trying to think now at the moment, for me, it's a brilliant time to get reviews, actually, because if you're gathering data, which you are of these email addresses, at least you know who they are. So you can send them a link for whichever website it is you are trying to get reviews to, whether it be your own website, whether it be TripAdvisor, whether it be Google Reviews. There are systems out there which will basically quickly ask customers by email what you want. Give us a review. How did you feel today? They are there. They exist. So you've got the data now. Just go and ask them. That's from an electronic point of view. I'm sure Paul can add probably more on the marketing side of that. But yeah, again, from a physical point of view, there's loads of good businesses I know who simply have little cards they can give away. Again, I'm not sure about the health implications of giving away something like that. But, a poster behind the counter, I can have it here. Can I leave me a review now? You can win £50 because there's a draw next month. Whatever it is, try and drive communication, drive content. Yeah, completely agree. I think some ticketing platforms have a built-in review system, so that's for your own internal reviews, or the email that goes at the end when the experience has happened, or you've getting the feedback. TripAdvisor logo, go to TripAdvisor, have the signage in store saying rate us on TripAdvisor. People remember it, and if they've had a great experience, they'll do it. So just keep reminding them, and again, email conversations, if you're having that email database, send it afterwards saying, look, you've been to see us, share a review. Do that on your own social media as well. This is reviewing. People are not afraid to give their opinions. They're just not. So give them the space to do it.
All right, thank you. We've got time for one more question. It's for Paul. Have you seen any examples, Paul, of businesses doing the kind of things that you were talking about well that they could refer to for ideas for their business?
Yeah, there's a few actually. I guess, looking kind of very local, I think what Brew York are doing themselves, in terms of they've done an outdoor delivery service that's worked really well for them. They are taking their time to reopen as well. They've been honest with their consumer about that. You know, emails that have come through, so they're worth looking at for that. There's loads of other. Everyone's doing these parts in different ways. So I think, you know, it's just looking at how it's out there. Who else is doing quite a good thing? Well, obviously I'm not involved in it, but Jorvik Viking Centre have done quite well as well. Great team there, not involved at all, but you know, they've got the FAQs on there that are very comprehensive. Nationally as well, I think a lot of the bigger chains have done some good work as well. If you're on their mailing lists, Marks and Spencers and Smith's Toys. I've got some young nieces and nephews, so I'm on there, and they've been very consistent as well. So it's worth just looking around and seeing what other people are doing. So that's one insight into my consumer habits and also what's out there.
Okay, thanks very much. Right, well, thank you very much, Paul and Ian, for joining us. If there's any more questions, please let me know very quickly. We're about to end. Are you happy, Paul and Ian, for me just to share your contact details in terms of email?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll just add those into the chat box. If anyone would like to contact, there's Paul's there. I'll just locate Ian's. If there's any more questions, please just put them in. And then we'll be closing today's session. Okay, that was someone, it's called James, has said thank you for the content. Great. I'll just double check the Q&A. Yeah, I think we're all done on questions. So thank you very much for a really informative webinar today. Thank you to Paul, thank you to Ian. Thanks for joining us.
Brilliant, thanks a lot.
Goodbye.
Bye.